Hello again, and thank you for coming and joining me with these reports. I'll repeat to you, I'm not a pastor, I'm not a rabbi, I don't belong to any churches or synagogues. And I'm giving you just the divine words from the Creator God out of the old book. And I've put them all up as much as I can and as succinctly as I can so that you can do your own research and you can investigate it. And if you recall, in my other um, reports that I gave you, sacrifices were not commanded, blood sacrifices were not commanded by the Creator God. The spirits of the Anakim, Nephilim, are roaming the earth today, and the Gog war solved, Gog and Magog war solved. You need to look at those reports so that you can line it all up to what I'm going to give you today. I'm going to give you a report, and I've titled it Illuminati Pure Blood Power Part 2. And it's going to give you all the information that you would want to know, no matter what religion you belong to, and no matter whether you are a Christian or under Judaism. This will explain to you how the source of all the religions came about today. Now, I did ask you before to Google every point so that you know that I'm giving you the truth. And I also told you and showed you that the United Nations is going to take control over all the earth, the IMF, the global banking cartel, and that's part of the New World Order. They are all controlled by the Illuminati, the Masons, and the secret societies. So come with me on this report because you're going to enjoy a lot of information that has been hidden from the world, and a lot of information that has been, or disinformation that's been taught to our children for hundreds of years and concealing so much of the truth. For you to understand, I'm giving you this report. Come with me, please. What people have not been taught. Our actions in our brain, our thoughts, what motivates us. We can be influenced by spirits, good spirits, bad spirits, evil spirits. And you will recall in one of my reports, it was just amazing how an SS soldier could go out and blow the brains out of a woman and a child, then go home and cuddle his own babies and kiss his wife. And you'd have to ask what spirit was in his mind to kill a little girl and a woman. So this is going to bring out into your mind, it's going to bring out for you to understand that the spirit that leads every one of us, and including any minister of government or minister of religion. A long time ago, the religions were bound up by the Illuminati secret societies, and they claim that they have control over all religions. Now, I've said that to a few people, and you've got it in my reports, and most people who have been in ground as a Catholic or a Seventh-day Adventist or JW or Mormon or whatever, or Judaism, for hundreds of years can't believe that what they believe is false and is fake and has been set up a long time ago for them to be grounded in. So have a look at this. We'll go to chart 1. Now, just quickly, I'll put up on the screen. You can stop the film and have a good look. Just Google UN and the IMF global takeover of the world, and you will get hundreds and hundreds of people giving you reports on it. And when I said the United Nations will take over the whole world, and that's said to you in the report that I gave you Gog and Magog war solved, there is a list of all of the countries and places on the map that are under the control of the United Nations or NATO. And NATO is depicted as Gog in the Gog-Magog war. And when you look at the map, I'll quickly put this up again for you, and you can get an idea of where the names of Gog, Yavan, Lud, Magog, where they come from, and what part of the world they are in. So I've put that up again for you so you can refresh your mind. Go back to this in the film and have a good look at it, because it's going to help you understand the government's takeover today. Now we're up to chart 1. There's 8 charts. The Illuminati Pure Blood Power 2, and this is about control. And as you will see, they all had visions. In other words, all of the people who started any religion, you'll find they all started off with a vision. My question in point 1, were the visions or the dreams directed by the spirits from Yahweh, the Creator God, or from evil, lying, satanic spirits? You'll have to make up your own mind when you read this. Now, item 2, at least 2,500 years BC, Freemasonry, the Masons, and the Illuminati is one of the oldest organizations still in existence today. Papyrus scrolls that were found in 1888 in excavations in the Libyan desert describes that secret meetings of similar groups 2,500 years BC. Now, these brotherhoods had already been involved in the building of the Temple of Solomon, the building of King Solomon's Temple at Jerusalem. The skilled masons were divided into 2 classes, apprentices and fellows. They were presided over by 3 grand masters, King Solomon, Hiram, king of Tyre, and Hiram Abiff. And you'll see in brackets there, Hiram Abiff was murdered for his secrets, the secrets of the secret society covenant. Now, as you can see there, they already had way back there the mystical traditions of the secrets, which were later passed on to Masons, the Illuminati, and the Jewish Kabbalah. You'll see that in the Zohar among the Orthodox Jewish movements, and it can be seen online in the Chabad.org. Item 3. There's a quote here from the Illuminati Covenant, their oath between all secret societies. Our very existence was created by God, for God, of God. We cannot be destroyed without first destroying the great architect of the universe, which is the definition of impossible. God may have made you in his image, but we bred you into existence. And what is imperative is that you know the extent of our ownership over you, namely your soul. We have been given the birth certificate numbers, and we have been given the master list of all the numerals that are listed for death. Now, about religion, they say in their quote, we will always hide the divine truth from them, that we are all one. All religions are under our control, and this they must never know. Now, there's a quote there on item 4. The United Nations mediator leader Chinmoy, I've given this to you before, but I'll give it to you again. The United Nations is the chosen instrument of God. Which God, you'll ask? The United Nations religion is a combination of the New Age mysticism, pantheism, Aboriginal animism, atheism, communism, socialism, Luciferian occultism, and in particular Christians, Judaism, and Islam, Tao, Buddhism, and Hinduism. Quote, no one will enter the New World Order unless he or she makes a pledge to worship Lucifer and to take the Luciferian initiation. And I've said in my other report, how can an individual give an oath to these secret societies and at the same time give an oath to be a servant to Yahweh, the living Creator God. Now, we're up to chart 2. They all had visions. Remember those words, visions or dreams. What Yahweh, the Creator God, said. I am acting against those who prophesy with false dreams and visions, who tell them and mislead my people with their lies and their flippancy. I did not send them nor command them. And you'll find that in Jeremiah 23. He also says in Jeremiah, don't pray to me for these people. I will not hear your prayers. I will annihilate them. Item 6. Now this is approximately 480 to 440 BC. Ezra, and there's a book of Ezra in the book. Ezra the priest, or the prophet, he misled the people. Israel, he let them think that they are still the chosen people, so that they would return from Babylon to build the second temple at Jerusalem, but they were ultimately slaughtered. They were not his people anymore. Traditionally, Judaism credits Ezra with establishing the Great Assembly, or scholars and prophets, the forerunner of the Sanhedrin. He also wrote the books of Chronicles. You've got to ask. Chronicles refers to places and events 400 to 1,000 years prior. One has to ask the question, how accurate are the Chronicles? And according to tradition, he introduced the Torah. I thought the Torah was taught to the people. It was printed and written by Moses way back 1800 BC, which had not been used for 1,000 years, and you'll see that when we go through this report. One has to ask the question, how accurate is the Torah, which is filled with the reports on how to kill blood sacrifices, when Yahweh said he did not command Moses or the forefathers throughout the 40 years sojourn to kill blood sacrifices. You'll get that in item 7, also in chart 7. Now here's item 7, 780 BC. Yahweh said, I hate and loathe your festive offerings, for even if you offer up to me burnt offerings and your meal offerings, I will not be appeased, and I will not regard the peace offerings from your fatlings. That's also in chart 7. And he's questioned from Yahweh speaking, did you bring sacrifices and meal offerings to me through the 40 years sojourn in the wilderness? You'll get that in Amos 5:21. So for the first 40 years out of Egypt, no animal or blood sacrifices were commanded by Yahweh, the living God. Jeremiah 7:21. So you've got to ask the question, who put the blood sacrifices instructions into the Torah? That's Genesis to Deuteronomy. In 470 BC, the false prophet Hananiah, Yahweh said to Jeremiah, it is only when the words of that prophet comes true that it is then known that that prophet was indeed sent by Yahweh. That's in Jeremiah 28:9-11. As I said in one of my previous reports, I could not believe that the Jews had purposefully and blatantly altered the text and implanted fake and false meanings in the text. But when I went through all this report and I put it together for you, I was absolutely sick in my heart, because they certainly did make a lot of implants, a lot of false and fake inserts into the Bible. But it tells you there in item 8 that Yahweh's made it clear on how to understand whether or not a prophet was a true prophet. And it tells you there. It's only if the words that that prophet or priest or rabbi comes true that it is known that that prophet was indeed sent by Yahweh. Now that includes all of those who had visions to start their religions that are on the earth today. Jehovah's Witness, Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists, and so on. You will get more of those details as we go through this report. As you can see in chart 3, again I've put there for you in item 5, Yahweh is against any persons with so-called dreams and visions, particularly when it is against his word. And everything that you have thought to be truth, you have to compare it back to his words and his words only. Item 6. Now the Jews claim that the great synagogue, the Sanhedrin, Great Assembly, now it's approximately 480 BC, they received from the prophets, they say, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, the Torah, and they transmitted it to the men of the great synagogue. Now that's against what you and I have been taught, that Moses wrote it back in 1800 BC. Among the developments in the Judaism that are attributed to them includes Ezra, the fixing of the Jewish and Christian Bible canon, including the introduction of the oral law, the Talmud, which was an abomination to Yahweh because Yahweh had warned them, do not add to my words. The Christian Bibles were compiled by these people during this time period to AD 300. Now, question. Were there any faithful people to Yahweh keeping his laws during this period? And how did Yahweh consider these people? See what Yahweh says in the next item, 7. Yahweh said, do not pray to me about these people. I will not accept them, for I am going to annihilate them by famine, by sword, and by pestilence, in Jeremiah 14:11. Or they preach in my name, though I did not send them, in verse 15. And as for you, Jeremiah, do not pray for these people. I will not listen, Jeremiah 11. I will pour out my wrath upon all the nations that do not know me, and upon all the families who do not call out in my name. And that is in Jeremiah 10. Now the Jews have called him Hashem, which is the Hebrew word for the name, but that is blasphemous to Yahweh, the Creator God, because he says all the people will know me, my people will know me and call me by my name. I shall make Jerusalem and all the cities a heap of rubble with no inhabitants. Now, the commentaries will tell you that that happened with the Roman Empire in 70 AD. No, it didn't. It's going to be completely reduced to rubble. It's in Jeremiah 9. And you, Jeremiah, do not pray for these people. I will not listen, Jeremiah 7. The end is upon you, and I will send my anger against you. My eye will not spare you, and I will have no compassion on you, and evil will come on these people. And you'll get more in Ezekiel 7, Ezekiel 5, Ezekiel 6, where Yahweh has decreed that he will annihilate these people. And it will be at the end of days, in many days, Jeremiah 13 and Jeremiah 23, 19 to 21. Yahweh promises all nations to the end of the world will perish. That's in Jeremiah 25. And of course he warns them not to shed innocent blood. And of course he's warned them not to shed innocent blood because right up until this time, and right up until the Babylonian exile, they were taking their sons and their daughters and they were killing them, burning them as a sacrifice. And you'll get that again in the book of Psalms. They were sacrificing their children to demons. Now, we're up to chart 4, and this is very interesting. Don't forget, Yahweh said that he's against all of these people that have visions and dreams. Take no notice of them. In item 9, there was a great disappointment in 1844. It was preached by a William Miller. He was a 30-degree Mason. Now, as we've shown you here, the Illuminati pure bloodline is the Masons and the secret societies. And of course, they date that back to Genesis 6. There's thousands of followers. Some of those, they'd given up all their possessions. They waited expectantly. And when Jesus did not appear, the date became known as the Great Disappointment. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, also established in 1863, and amongst its founders Ellen G. White. She preached the Trinity, infallibility of Scripture, the investigative judgment, the heavenly sanctuary, and they used Daniel 8:14-16 to come to those conclusions, which is fake, which is false. They said that Jesus would return in 1843 to 1844 and understood that the Day of Atonement was happening. When Jesus failed to return, it was deemed the Great Disappointment. When this event did not happen, their doctrine was changed to mean, Jesus has entered into the heavenly sanctuary to begin his investigative judgment. Now, because of this theology, over 40% of the ministers at that time resigned over this issue and went with a fellow called Des Ford. But in the book written by Ellen G. White, The Great Controversy, William Miller is endorsed by Ellen White. She wrote fondly of Father Miller, believing him to be a modern-day John the Baptist. Ellen White came to occupy a particularly central role in the church. Her many visions and spiritual leadership convinced the fellow Adventists that she possessed the spirit of prophecy. But what was Yahweh's words about it? Take no notice of them. And you'll see more on this in item 11 and chart 5 about the Mormons. The Masons are the conduit of the Illuminati bloodlines. Now have a look at this next chart with me. All right, we're up to chart 5 of 8 charts. The Illuminati Pure Bloodline Power, Part 2. And again, all about them having visions and dreams, which Yahweh says he's against. And he says, take no notice of them. And item 11, if you do your research and listen, you will find Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, they were of the Illuminati bloodline. And the Rothschilds, they funded the Jehovah's Witnesses. And the publishers, Westcott and Hort, who were Satanists, they're the founders of the Hermes Club and members of the famed Russian witch Madame Blavatsky Theosophy cult. Westcott and Hort also published and supported Darwin evolution theories, which were denying the Creator God's existence, and with the Illuminati's control over all media, this false doctrine gained worldwide acceptance very quickly. Now, you've got to realize that the Illuminati, the secret societies, have done everything possible to hide the existence of the Creator God. And they've done everything possible in the governments, in the schools, in the education system to hide any existence of creation from you. And they've filled up everybody's mind with evolution. Now, the JWs found that Charles Taze Russell, he was a Knights Templar Illuminati in 1852 to 1916, and he had the Zion's Watchtower and the Herald of Christ's Presence. Jehovah's Witnesses used Jesuits and the Roman Catholic manuscripts to aid in the translation of their own New Testament Bible called the New World Translation. But it's interesting to note that both the Roman Catholic Church and the Jehovah's Witnesses, they forbid their followers the use of the Bible alone. So you have to ask the question, how is it possible for people to know and understand the truth of the Creator God Yahweh's message if they are not permitted to read his words? In item 12, as you can see again, all secret societies, the Masons, the Fabians, Skull and Bones, CFR, Trilateral Commission, Club of Rome, IMF, New World Order, they're the conduit for the Illuminati's pure bloodlines control over all religions and governments. Now, we're up to chart 6 And this is going to give you a lot more information. Illuminati Pure Bloodline Power 2. They all had visions, and Yahweh is against the people with dreams and visions that speak against him. Item 14. Joseph Smith, on December 23, 1805 to 1844. He was the Illuminati bloodline founded by the Latter-day Saints, which is the Mormon Church. He claimed in 1820 that two personages, which is implied to be God the Father and the Son, appeared to him, and in subsequent visions directed him to a buried book of golden plates inscribed with the Judeo-Christian history of an ancient American civilization. The plates have never been found. But it's interesting to note here, Yahweh was not protecting this fellow. Yeah, Smith was imprisoned in Carthage, Illinois, and he was killed when a mob stormed the jailhouse. Now, item 15, and as I gave to you before in the part 1 of the Illuminati Pure Blood Power, there is a committee of 300 that controls the world. And that committee of 300, by the way, is headed up by the Queen of England. It tells you here, the IMF, Jewish banking families have used Freemasonry as an instrument to subvert, control, and degrade the world. They've also used the mainstream religions. Freemasonry is based on Judaism and is the executive political organ of the Jewish financial elite. I said to a rabbi one day, I said, why are you a member of the Masons? Oh, he said, we're all members of the Masons. I said, but how can you swear an oath to Jabbalon, the god of the Masons, when you are under oath to give the truth and be a servant to Yahweh, the Creator God? Now, this information is based on the archives of a powerfully French Grand Orient Lodge that was captured in June 1940 and later made public by the Russians. These world revolutionary movements all mirror Lucifer, Satan's rebellion against the laws of the Creator God Yahweh and nature, and using their technology today of HARP and chemtrails. Millions of birds drop out of the sky when they blow holes in the Earth's electromagnetic field, and of course tons of fish are dead all over the world. And if you Google that, you're going to get a shock to see what is happening throughout the world today in the year 2014. Item 16 again, I've put there for you. All of the secret societies, the Masons, Fabians, Skull and Bones, CFR, Trilateral Commission, Club of Rome, IMF, New World Order. It's all about the Illuminati pure bloodlines control over all governments and all religions. But there's something to realize there, and I've put it there for you because it comes out of Daniel 7:11, verse 26, and Daniel 8:25. This power, referred to as the mute abomination of the little horn power, it is ultimately destroyed by the hand of Yahweh, the Creator God. They think they're infallible and they can't be destroyed. Surely they will be destroyed. And all I can say is thank God that Yahweh, the Creator God, is going to intervene and put a stop to this evil. Well, we're up to chart number 7 of the 8 charts. Illuminati Pure Bloodline Power 2. And it's about sacrifices in the after the AD sacrifices. Item 17. Yahweh said, now this is approximately 430 BC when Yahweh made these words. He says, cast away your idols of Egypt. But they rebelled against me and they did not listen to me. Not one man of them cast away their detestable idols. You'll get that in Ezekiel 20:7-9. Now that's a pretty amazing statement because that means for 2,500 years they did not throw away the idols that they came out of Egypt with. In 1330 BC, approximately, the Israelites took from the nations around them their daughters as wives, and they gave their sons to the nations' daughters, and they served their gods. That's in Judges 3:6. So the Israelites, for at least 1,000 years, they were into Baal worship, worshipping other gods, up to the Babylonian exile, as I've told you before. They were still killing their daughters and their sons in fire as sacrifices to demons. Item 18, about 1800 BC, Yahweh said, 7 nations greater and mightier than you, I will drive them out and give you their land. You shall not seal any covenant with them, nor show them any favour. You shall not intermarry with them. You shall not give your daughters to their sons. You shall not take their daughters for your sons. And there is a clear-cut instruction from Yahweh, the Creator God, in Deuteronomy 7:1-8 and 21-23. But as you've already said, Yahweh's words, they rebelled against me, and they did not listen to me. Item 19. It's about 550 BC that Yahweh's words, and it's about the sacrifices. Yahweh, quote, for I did not command your forefathers on the day I took them out of Egypt to burn sacrifices, and they have built high places to burn their sons and daughters in fire, which I did not command them. And notice this, it did not enter my mind, Yahweh said. Jeremiah 7:21-32. So in item 20, make a note of this. If Yahweh their God did not command any blood sacrifices, then one needs to ask the obvious question, who inserted all the chapters in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy on how to kill blood sacrifices? And who told Abraham to kill his son Isaac when Yahweh clearly said in 4 different places, item 19, it did not enter my mind? And for answers, I'll give you a few pointers as to where it all started in items 21 and 22 in chart 8. All right, we're up to chart 8. And I've had to split this chart into 8A and 8B, the Illuminati Pure Bloodline Power Part 2. And it's all about the source. Where did all these gods come from that have taken over our religions today, which are under the control of the Illuminati, the Masons, and the secret societies? And item 21, the spiritual knowledge of the Illuminati and the Freemasons had been replaced by symbols, allegories, and rituals which served communication. A secret language with symbols, for example, the Masonic ritual handshake, the pyramids, the pentagram, the use of the numbers 3, 7, 13, and 33 in coats of arms, also used as emblems today in the company logos that are headed up by the Illuminati Pure Bloodline. Now, you can get a lot of details on the web about this, but in one book, if you can get it, The Gods of the Book of the Dead, you'll find a lot more than what I've been able to give to you on this report. 22. Nu, the father of the gods, and begetter of the great company of the gods. He is depicted in the form of a seated deity having upon his head a disc and plumes, and Ta, the father from the beginning, was associated with the god Nemu in carrying out the creation. The mandates of Thoth, Estinu, the god of right and truth, the divine intelligence, it is said he established the world and all that is in it, the creator of man. He stretched out the heavens, it says. Ptah formed at Memphis as the chief member of the Trinity. The Trinity is in the Christian teachings today. Ptah, Sekhet, and Nefu, Temu, they're also referred to as Tum and Etemu. Ptah, the incarnation of Apis bull at Memphis, found in tombs all over Egypt, Greek islands, settlements in Mediterranean, Phoenicia, Syria, and Israel and Canaan. Ptah, in the Trinity, is the personification of the period of incubation which follows death and precedes the entry into eternal life. And now you've got that doctrine in the Christian world today. About 920 BC, Jeremiah 7:16, this form of worship with Israel's King Jeroboam inaugurating the Easter and the hot cross buns that are practiced by the Christians today. Now, in item 23, Ra, an Egyptian mythology, or the priests of Anu, they held daily blood sacrifices. This was carried forward by the Jews. It tells you that the souls of the deceased make their way to where Ra is in heaven. And that's recorded more in the Egyptian book, Tuat. Now, the Israelites, they adhered to all these same rituals and the reports that are in the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, on how to kill blood sacrifices. You might realize now that this was a lead up to the blood sacrifice of Christ on the cross. But it's not needed because I showed you that in my previous report, that Yahweh said, only I can forgive sins. And that was, I think, in Isaiah 43:25. So all of the false, fake religions that are on the earth today came from this source, came from these ancient pagan idols. All right, we're up to chart 8B, and this is going to put the top on it for you. Where did all these gods come from that are in our religions today and under the control of the Illuminati, the Masons, and the secret societies? Item 24. Seb, or Queb. It's the fourth member of the company of gods of Anu. He was the son of Shu, husband of Nut, and by her father of Osiris, Isis, Set. Osiris is a form of the sun god, the sixth member of the company of gods of Anu. He was the son of Seb and Nut, and the husband of his sister Isis, the father of Horus, the son of Isis. Now, all Israel, for approximately 1,300 years BC, to the Babylonian exile, they worshipped these deities, referred to in the Bible as Baal. And the Christians were given these doctrines to follow, which I've shown you. And item 25. Isis, the seventh member of the company of gods of Anu, was the wife of Osiris and the mother of Horus, the sun god, commonly represented as the mother suckling her child Horus. Now, you see today the Madonna and child is used to represent Jesus and Mary. That is none other than Osiris, the mother of Horus, with her child. Horus occupied the throne of his father Osiris in heaven as a judge. It is said in the doctrine of the Christianity. Jesus said, will be the judge with the Father in the Christian doctrines today, sitting at the right-hand side of the Father in heaven. Mayat, the wife of Thoth, was the daughter of Ra, the queen, also referred to as in Israel's in the Bible as Ishtar or Inanna. And the Greeks identified her with their own Aphrodite. Item 26. The chief of the gods, Amen, means the hidden one. And they identified him with Ra, And then they called him Amun-Ra. Amun-Ra, the bull in Anu, the ruler of all these gods, the beautiful and beloved God who giveth life by means of every kind of food and cattle. Thou givest life to the fish of the streams and to the fowl of the air, and breathe unto the germ in the egg. Thou givest life unto the grasshopper, thou makest to live the wild fowl, and things that creep, and things that fly, and everything that belongs thereunto. Here you've got an account of the counterfeit creation, and it's being replaced by evolution, by the secret societies, by the Masons, and Westcott and Hort published this in support of Darwin. And there was items in chart 511 concerning this. So I hope you now realize where the pagan gods, the false doctrines, the false religions that are on this earth today, where it all came from, what started it, when did it start, and you have your eyes looking at who was responsible. Now you can continue to believe the lies that are taught to you by the Christians or the Jews, or you can make your mind up that you want to believe the truth and just follow the truth. And to do so, all you need to do is follow the words of the Creator God Yahweh, in particular that he gave to Ezekiel, Jeremiah, and Isaiah. A lot of the other places in the Bible have been corrupted by these evil spirits in the minds of evil people going back thousands of years. Now, every time when you're reading in the scripture where Yahweh God says that he will redeem the people and bring them back to their land, always realize when you reread that blessing is conditional. In other words, it will tell you somewhere in those verses that if you repent, if you give up your idols, if you change your ways, I will bring you back and redeem you. So these blessings are also mixed into the same chapters with the curses that I will destroy you. I will annihilate you with pestilence, with the sword, and with famine. Here are some of the words that Yahweh has said. From the north the evil will come on all the inhabitants. Israel was divorced in Jeremiah 3:8, Isaiah 51. And there's about the curses. And if you read Deuteronomy 28, you'll find that if they were not to be faithful and adhere to his commandments and ordinances, those curses apply. The Ark of the Covenant will never again be used or repeated. He says, I will slay your land waste and your cities will be desolate. And to Judah, do not pray to me for them, I will not listen. He says, I will eliminate the sound of joy, and the land is ruined. He said, I shall utterly destroy them. I shall make Jerusalem a heap of rubble, a wasteland. Next item. They will cry out, but I will not listen to them. I will have no pity or mercy to stop destroying them. I am going to annihilate them by sword, by pestilence, and by famine. I have no desire for these people. Send them away from my presence. And with Judah, I will stretch my hand against you. I am weary of relenting. Peace, mercy, and the covenant is revoked. Israel is divorced, Jeremiah 3. I am bringing such evil on this land. The land will be a horror. Yahweh's fury goes forth, and it will be in the end of days that you will understand it. I send after them the sword, famine, pestilence, until they are all destroyed. So ultimately, all of these people that came out with the Talmud, the falsehood, and all those people that listen to it and follow it, no matter where they are in the world, ultimately, Yahweh makes it clear here that he will destroy them. Yahweh calls the enemy from the ends of the earth to destroy Israel. Have you got that point? Because in Ezekiel 38 and 39, the Gog and Magog war that I gave you solved, that's exactly what Yahweh does. He gets into the minds, the evil minds of men to do what he has said will happen, and that is come up as a war, and that is NATO, all of the military of the earth. He says, I will make man more valuable than gold, and the heavens will tremble, the earth will rumble, and it will totter from its place like a drunkard, in Isaiah 24. He also tells it quite clearly, no matter where these people think that they can escape for safety, in the DMUBs, the DMUBs, the deep underground military bases, or if they think they can go up into the sky in the satellites, he will shake the heavens. They've got no chance of living, and they will all be ultimately destroyed. There's a lot of fake delusions being perpetrated by these people in rhetoric that you will see on TV and in the newspapers about aliens will come back, aliens will be coming back to the earth, the Nibiru, and so on. These are all delusions. There will be no aliens coming back. Yahweh said quite clearly, I am the first, I am the last. There will be no God after me or before me. And what I have said will happen will happen. I've given this chart to you before, the timeline of the Earth's history going back from creation all the way through to the year 2014. You can stop the film and identify certain things on that, and you can research it and do your own study, and you'll realize that what I've given you is the truth. It's not my opinion. It is not my theology. It is straight out of the old book by Yahweh. For those who want to do a study on it, here's a timeline of the chart of the Israel kings, all those up the top line. As you can see, not one of those kings of Israel kept the laws of Yahweh, the Creator God. And down the bottom line, there's only 6 of the kings in the nation of Judah that were loyal, faithful to, and kept the laws of Yahweh God. Now, just to reiterate the powers of Yahweh, the Creator God, item 5 there. Yahweh God made the earth with his might. He established the world with his wisdom, and with his understanding he spread out the heavens. At the sound of his placement of the multitudes of the water, he raised the clouds from the ends of the earth. He made lightning bolts for the rain, and brings forth wind from his treasuries. And you'll get that in Jeremiah 51, 15 to 16. So in other words, none of the gods of Egypt were the creator. Now, I've given you this chart before. I collected some rainwater out of the sky. There is a forensic laboratory test sheet that came out of the government laboratory of all of the heavy metals that is in the sky coming down in the rainwater. You can go through it, stop the film and have a look at it, but it is absolutely shocking. Now, I've given you a report showing you that there will be a time of trouble such as never before in the history of this earth, and we're just about to go into that time of trouble. And I've also shown you that there will be sicknesses and diseases that will be released by the Illuminati controlled medical history, the chemicals, chemical and companies that make the poisons, and Ebola is one of those. You can read that in your own time, but it is going to happen something similar to that. And you'll notice here on the chart about the Ebola, there's no way that antibiotics will kill it, but there is one item that the doctors and the scientists say will knock it out, and that's colloidal silver in that bottom part of that chart. You can read all about it in your own time and be prepared and understand what is necessary for you to have preservation of your life and your family. Now on this chart, and you can read it in your own time, the gods of Egypt, who they believed made everything, created everything, the Creator God Yahweh showed these people when he brought them out of Egypt that they were not the gods that would save them. He was the God that could destroy all of their gods, which he did do with those plagues that are listed on this chart. And that makes it clear about the power of Yahweh, the Creator God. Now, this is about the Bibles that you have today. No doubt a lot of you will like to do your own research and check out what I've given to you. But have a look at this with me. The correct name for the Creator God is Yahweh. But this is difficult for Christians, the people, to understand, as all the Christian Bibles translations have replaced his name with the Lord or Lord. This is not Jesus, but it's led people to believe that it could mean Jesus. They believe they are worshipping the Father, but at the same time they are worshipping Jesus to have their sins forgiven, and this is fake and false doctrine. Now, all of Israel had a dual worship system. In other words, they worshipped the Baal gods as well as worshipping Yahweh. But that is why they were regarded as an adulterous people. They were given numerous warnings to give up their idols, which I've given to you in Ezekiel 20, but not one person gave up their idols. And for 1,500 years at least that I can find, they were worshipping both Yahweh and their Baal deities. But you've got to understand that the name Yahweh, there it is there on the left-hand side of the screen, that is in the original text of the Hebrew Bibles. And you need to insert that into the reading of your scriptures so you can understand what Yahweh says. He says, "That is my name, I shall not give my glory to another, for I am your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. Thus says Yahweh, the King of Israel, its Redeemer. I am the first and I am the last." Now, as a reminder, it tells you in the old book that Yahweh is going to choose and select from all over the world, from all nations, a new group of people which will retain his name, and that is Israel. And concerning this new group, you've got some items there which you can check out yourself. He says, "No evil person will ever be again in Jerusalem. My righteousness and salvation is forever. All people listen to Yahweh and heed his instructions. All the people will know my name, Yahweh. All nations will see Yahweh's salvation to the ends of the earth. Kings and world leaders will shut their mouth in amazement, seeing things never before told them, and they will perceive things they had never heard before. All of your children will be students to Yahweh, and those who gather against you but will fall because of you. All the peoples of all the nations will be welcome to join Yahweh's chosen people." There it is, read it in your own time. Now, in this summary chart, particularly in item 5, scalar, SEWs, HARP, used to make man-made climate change. It is not CO2, carbon, that's causing climate change or global warming. The same technology can cause earthquakes, cyclones. They are deluding the public that CO2 is to blame for global warming. It's a fraud. But this is to induce countries to collect tax to fund the IMF, the UN, the NATO, the Global New World Government. And item 6, the Jesuit Black Post is in control of the central banks, World Health Organization, the multinational corporations, all leading chemical and drug companies, the mainstream media, Knights of Malta, UN, NATO, Knights of Columbus, the Knights Templar, the Council of the 300 that I mentioned before, the Freemasons and the Favors, all secret services, CIA, FBI, and so on. They're all under the same control of the Illuminati and the secret societies. Don't think that it's not. It is. And there's the details. You can Google it, you can research it, you can come to your own conclusions, but there is the truth. Now, as I've shown you in several reports, the Israel that came back to Israel land in 1948 are fake, are false. They're nothing to do with the biblical Israel that is going to be redeemed, but they think they are still the chosen people of Yahweh, the Creator God. They're not. But to understand how there will be another group chosen by Yahweh, the name Israel was given to Jacob because he had overcome sin and was faithful to Yahweh. Now, if a promoter of the football clubs today found that his team were into drugs and booze, creating havoc and disobeying the rules of the club, he then has the rights to throw them all out, sack the lot, and appoint a new group. But the new group is still called by the same name. And that is exactly what Yahweh will do in the selection of a new group of people that will be faithful, heeding his laws, and they will be the redeemed Israel.